Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is how do you become, centered? How do you become more focused, more confident after you've been in a relationship that has really thrown you off balance and created really some degree of fear and uncertainty, otherwise known as sort of confusion, and you might even be experiencing really a sort of identity confusion or identity crisis after a relationship that is sort of breaking up or breaking apart, or there's a lot of moving parts in making the relationship very complicated, such as we see in a relationship with a narcissist or a psychopath. These individuals can slip into emotional or mental abuse very quickly of others, meaning they will exploit the vulnerabilities, the natural tendencies, the button pushing, the needs of another's in order to make it more predictable for them to win through an outcome or what is rewarding for them. This creates a large degree of confusion and uncertainty in others. This will create also emotional and mental pain, which becomes very difficult for people to sort things out and sort of own the flip side of that, which is confidence and certainty and self-awareness, and then the positive from that, where you get excited, enthusiastic, passionate, and happy. It's very difficult to have a positive sense of self-regard when you are plagued by a large degree of uncertainty. There's a large degree of uncertainty that will create a feeling that you are not clued in, you don't know what's going on, or confusion, really, where, it's you're not able to focus in a clear or concise or organic manner. So your normal, natural, homeostatic state is replaced by agitation, by adrenal fatigue or stress, which is the cortisol, the secretion of the stress hormones, the adrenals and the cortisol, which then creates a sort of hyperactivity and a tense internal state, which then promulgates a lot of similar emotions and then thought patterns or behaviors that are mimicking of these. So the uncertainty, namely, can be a resultant state when you're in a relationship with a narcissist or a psychopath that then becomes very painful, and that one that people want to exit or get rid of or alleviate or find relief from. And usually placating an abuser or going along with them usually will be, I would say, one of the first behaviors that those people who are abused will go through. Sort of in their stage of healing, they might sort of disown or have confusion about their own certainty because of a high degree of uncertainty that the relationship with a narcissist or a psychopath will require, namely because of lack of empathy. The other individual doesn't have a presence of character to be able to interact with an accuracy for you. So there's an inaccurate registering of a truth or your feelings or where you're coming from. It's kind of like having Morse code, if you will. If your emotions were a code, it's kind of like they get sent through a scrambler and then received scrambled or really completely different from the source as it's received by someone when they have lack of empathy. It's usually then recreated into a meaning or interpretation that serves them or helps them to get what they need. And this is known as really being exploited, taken advantage of, being made a victim or disempowered. This can be very confusing and create a lot of uncertainty, a lot of apathy, a lot of floundering or waffling behavior, because people can't then have a vision, a positive vision for them to look forward to and then grab onto, and feeling that they can be committed being committed to their happiness, being committed to their certainty, being committed to their I am as a full and complete individual. So there's this feeling sort of that you're missing something, and somehow the narcissist or the psychopath might have the missing piece. I would say is part of the confusion is that there's an absence of closure or a feeling of uncertainty that creates and allows this state to go on and fester for months and years, because the resolve of it is oftentimes not known how to arrive at. So it becomes enigmatic, something that takes a great deal of your focus, a great deal of your mental energy, doesn't leave you much time or room to do anything else, like work or have a positive hobby or a positive relationship or something that is carefree. Usually there is this undergirding mental confusion or uncertainty that will plague those people who have been targeted through a narcissist or a psychopath. And this is disempowering. It is this way because there is a exploitation to satisfy the means that create the end for the narcissist. So this individual usually is very opportunistic in nature, meaning they're looking for something that they want or need, and usually there is very little in return, meaning you are then, please them becomes pleasing to you. People then become rewarded by placating the abuser. It's just like they got through that one situation, and then the term is walk on eggshells to sort of continue your own life, but then people will then find that they're not getting in return what they have given. So there is a lack of an ability for a narcissist or a psychopath to really care or appreciate your feelings. So this is lack of empathy as it manifests in your life. If you feel that they don't care, that they're not getting you, that they're not giving you the time of day, that you've had to bring this up over and over again and nothing changes, that you're feeling the physical symptoms, feeling sick to your stomach, difficulty to breathe, anxiety, post-traumatic stress syndrome, feeling lonely, even if you're surrounded by people. This is the after effect. So you have to realize that certainty is an innate human need. You do need to be able to experience some degree of certainty and happiness and confidence. This is a instinctual need. I don't think the human body or the human psyche can, maintain confusion or uncertainty for an extended period of time. This becomes very difficult. This is, when people become indecisive, they go back and forth to the abuser. They are on different teams. They don't know what team they are on. They certainly don't feel that they are okay to put the I back in I am, because they have this oftentimes societally supported consciousness, sort of the globe, social consciousness in your own environment or your own community or your own nation, that you must sacrifice in order to help others, or you must supersede your happiness or supersede your needs to placate another's. So oftentimes there's a feeling that it's not okay for you to be happy. There's this feeling of guilt if you begin to walk along this path, and then it'll pull you back. It'll be responsible for regressive or self-sabotaging behavior, which is a hallmark of this relationship. You need to have some degree of certainty and validation. You need to experience more certainty. I am. I know. I am sure about this. I am certain. I have certainty in my life. You need to be able to own this phrase. own this experience physiologically. I am certain. I know what certainty feels like, and it is okay. I am certain about what will make me happy. I trust myself. I trust, and therefore I know, and I am. And in the bigger picture is in what I trust. But usually it is that trust which is severed in the course of the relationship, when you're in a relationship with someone with a high degree of no empathy. So it's very difficult to simultaneously be connected to a degree of self-trust, self-belief, and certainty in specific outcomes when you're in a relationship, because they keep moving the target, they keep moving the finish line, they keep moving the bar. What was that sport where you would, the not only the high jump, but the high jump. So just when you think you're jumping high enough, they move the bar higher and then you knock it down. Next thing you know, you made a mistake, and it's just continues to go on. And then you feel that you have a lack of understanding or confusion, or that you're not healed, you're not strong. This is tied, I would say, to a deprivation of certainty and confidence, and owning certainty and self-esteem. It's very difficult to own positive self-esteem while tolerating and existing in abuse. That is very, very difficult. That's almost asking yourself to be too strong, expecting too much out of yourself, and then setting yourself up for disappointment if you're trying to simultaneously be certain and have happiness and still be in an abusive or exploitative relationship. It is very difficult to maintain a positive outlook in that environment. Most people cannot do it, so don't expect yourself to maintain to be in a harsh or critical or demeaning or humiliating, embarrassing, condescending, or belittling type of relationship and be happy. It's very difficult for those two to go hand in hand. So you do need eventually to make up your mind and make up a decision, to be able to own the reality and to say, in my trust, in my knowing, and in my certainty, I call this to be abusive, and so it is. Remove the person, remove the name, remove, but just be able to define and own within yourself, this is abusive, and so it is. And you can usually find other people who will have an objective reasoning that will parallel or support this. So you have to be willing to sort of separate that hurt, wounded self from the objective and look at things objectively, and being able to have the value and dignity of self and certainty of self to own the positive. It's very difficult to be able to own your positive sense of I am while you're in the climate of an abusive relationship. It's just, you'll just get starved out emotionally. You'll get starved out financially. You'll get starved out professionally. It will not be sustainable. It is okay to say, this is not good or sustainable for me. Usually people will stay in relationships with abusers if they have found it very difficult to own your own I am. In other words, they will not be able to tolerate or disagree. So it is okay for you to disagree with being abused. I disagree in myself being treated this way. So it is very difficult, to have a disagreement, I would say, with a narcissist or a psychopath, because they will not tolerate it. They have their own issues, their own insecurity, and their own jealousies, which then they project and make it very difficult for people to own any sense of certainty, credibility, I am, or something as they are defined in the positive, because it directly threatens or undermines their need to be bigger, better than, or to win. So you do not want to step in the boxing ring, as I say. Exit the boxing ring and exit the confusion. Exit the boxing ring and enter certainty. Enter warmth towards self. Enter empathy towards self. Enter warmth and compassion and self-care towards self. Enter security and serenity with self. Peace and harmony, I have never felt this before. Well, congratulations. It's about time for you to experience positive self-regard. It's about time for you to come back home to yourself and delight in a low pressure experience, to not feel pressured that you have to be hyper vigilant, hyper aroused, and living in the fight or flight or the hormones of stress, the adrenals or cortisol. You can say, I no longer want to be fueled by the adrenal or the cortisol anymore. I no longer want to be fueled by stress. I no longer want to be fueled by fear. I no longer want to be fueled by anger. I no longer want to be live in coping all the time. I don't want to live in this degree of uncertainty and tension. You have to be able to make that in the privacy of your heart, in the privacy between you and the bigger picture, that you do not want to be fueled by this negativity. It's okay to make that statement and to be deliberate and conscientious of your need to recalibrate your emotions within the day so that you are acting out of certainty. You are acting out of your self-support system. You are acting out of compassion. You are able to open up to those people who are supportive rather than degrading and violatory in nature. That it is okay to disagree with people who throw you under the bus. It is okay to think differently than people who have pathological self-importance. It's okay to not grab onto the fleeting things of this world that are superficial and instead to grab onto something which is more sustainable and okay for you, which might be peace and harmony, which never goes out of style. It is okay to put yourself first. It doesn't mean that you are going to become like an abuser to have a healthy sense of self-esteem or positive self-regard and pat yourself on the back and make new and important decisions, especially as you see fit, that are beneficial for you. Oftentimes, you might not have experienced a lot of beneficial states. You might have experienced a lot of deprived states in a relationship with someone who is emotionally or physically abusive, someone who creates a lot of uncertainty and fear. This is not sustainable. To have a high degree of uncertainty and fear and being controlled. This is not a healthy state. It's very disempowering and de-energizing. It'll cause you to live an inauthentic life. So you must embrace the authentic life and what that means for you. And know what that is. Learn what that is. Create actively what that is. So I certainly take care of my health. I certainly take care of my happiness. I certainly take care of my financial well-being. I certainly take care of my physical well-being. I certainly take care of my emotional well-being. I'm okay to move myself up in this world. I'm okay to move myself above this abuse. I'm okay to move myself above this abuser. I am okay to move myself above this manipulator. I am not missing out on anything by moving away from a manipulator or a con person. I am okay. I am okay. I will not worry about it. I will not worry about them, and so it is. Namaste. May peace be with you. Have a beautiful day. This is your buddy. Peace.